All right, hey everyone, how's it going today? How is everyone?
How is everyone? Oh yeah, let me go ahead and actually start my side of the show too, even though I will probably have to get up for just a moment and help my mom back to her room, but whatever.
That's all good.
Yeah. All right, we are live on my side now. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this spoiler discussion of a freaking awesome movie. It was so awesome, I haven't even changed my shirt yet. No, actually, I woke up super late today, and I've just been running around basically from the get-go. And no, actually, I woke up super. But hey, you know, it's on brand, so around basically so it works out. The get-go and Sakrona, my friend. But hey, you know, it's on brand.
Well, besides technical difficulties, doing all right. Hold on, so I gotta mute this.
Yeah, sure.
Gotta turn this down so I can hear you a little better.
Yes. Oh yeah, and I should probably post the. Well, posting is going to be a little hard, but thank God for copy and paste.
Now everyone just got to see that I'm have another streamer up at the process. That's totally fine. It's okay. There we are.
Yeah,
all right, now everything's taken care of. There we go. Hey, Yuxin, how's it going?
Sure.
Whoa. Okay, not if the screen's gonna keep freaking out like that.
Oh jeez. Can I type this? Can I type come watch? Will the computer screw up? Don't know what is going to set this thing off today.
I don't know if you could see what's happening on my side, but on my side, everything's stuttery as heck all of a sudden.
I am looking at your stream as well. Seems fine for the moment. I don't know what this is. It's just like
okay. It looks. I guess it looks fine when I'm looking at OBS. When I'm looking at the screen that that I'm seeing right now, it is stuttery. Like it looks like it's going back and forth super fast.
Oh man. Well, people will just think it's a really animated discussion. Like you're really into this, which you should be.
Of course I am. It's gonna be distracting for me. This is all. My ADD is just gonna keep looking at the jittering. That's fine. I'll live somehow.
Somehow. Okay. So I'm just typing in "come watch" and then the link to the live stream. For anyone who might be watching about 20 minutes before we're gonna start the stream. My computer decided that every time I type in the letter D on the keyboard, it will just shut down. I don't know why. Like, why that particular key is doing that. And I don't have a replacement keyboard right now, so I cannot type messages right now in the comments. Otherwise, I'm gonna have my computer shut off on me. So, wonderful.
Yeah. No, easy fix around. It's not like you need to use the letter D in anything. It's not like it's in the word Godzilla. Oh, wait.
Yep. Like, just a moment ago, you might have noticed that I disappeared from StreamYards, and I was trying to type in Godzilla, and then as soon as I hit the D key, the computer shut off.
Of course, of course.
Oh, okay, it's gonna be one of those days. Oh boy. But anyway, I'm posting the link to my side of the stream on a few Discord servers that I'm on. So
replace the D's with B's. Ah, yes, my favorite kaiju, Godzilla.
Godzilla. That's all he does. What how you doing? I'm stomping through the city.
Baby mom, me whisper in your ear.
Instead of a loud roar, it's just like oh my God. ASMR Godzilla. Oh, that's awful. That's truly terrifying.
Well, while he's doing that, let me just reiterate for everyone at home. This is going to be your one and only warning. There's going to be spoilers for this. It is literally in the title. It is in who is in the thumbnail. I think on both of our sides, actually. You have been thoroughly warned. There are spoilers for this movie. So I don't want to hear any complaining in the future about, hey, you shouldn't have said that. Now it's going to spoil the movie for me. Well, you were warned. You did it to yourself.
Absolutely. Yep. So if you want to see the movie and not have the plot be ruined, you might want to leave right now and then come back and watch this stream in like a day or so.
Or if you just want to support the channel, just mute us.
Yeah.
Just keep the stream up and mute us. Give us that watch time. We can always use watch time.
Heck frickin' yeah. And we appreciate it too.
Mm-hmm.
Smack the like button on both sides of our stream. We'd really appreciate it.
Please. We're desperate.
We're small YouTubers. Hey, Kay, welcome to the stream. I'm on StreamYard, so I can highlight comments like this.
Oh, hey, that's cool. And now that's just on my screen in giant text. Well, hello, Kay.
It's a trap production. You forgot the S. Snooping as usual, I see. Yes. I do snooping, especially never mind. I was gonna make a joke, but I'm sure YouTube hates jokes, so.
YouTube hates everything, no matter what. YouTube's gonna hate everything. Heck, there's a white and black guy on the screen at the same time, not at each other's throats. YouTube automatically gonna be like, what? That's impossible!
Come here, I'm gonna choke you out.
Oh, see, now that you've threatened me, now YouTube's gonna be like, okay, well, no, there we go. That's what we wanted.
That's the kind of social justice it wants to see.
But before we get canceled from talking about social justice, why don't we switch back to the topic at hand, which is, in fact, Godzilla Minus One.
Yes, let me, I'm gonna share my screen real quick here. Well, I guess they call it presenting now. Oh, wait, it still says share screen. Okay, here it is. I like this right here. So I can do that. So we can bring this up, have this guy on screen here while we're talking, at least for a little while. So
yeah.
But before we even really get into the spoilers, let me just ask, like, what were your general thoughts on the movie? On just the whole thing.
Honestly, I think it's one of my new top 5 favorite movies. That's saying a lot because I think it's replaced the original Godzilla movie in my heart. That's how much I actually enjoyed this one. And that's really hard to do because I really like the original one and the American adaptation of it. So the fact that this one came out and it came out swinging hard and just really took a huge place in my heart.
Absolutely, man. Like, I went in, I had this shirt on. Oh, funny thing. When I walked up to the concession stand to actually get my phone scanned for my ticket, I walk up and I say to the lady there, I'm like, one to see Godzilla. And then she looks at me and says, I guess you're here to see Godzilla. And I was like, get the shirt, give it away. But yeah, that was my first time seeing the film, a movie by myself in the movie theater or the cinema, if you're in any other part of the world. And after 30 minutes of boring ads and commercials in the movie theater, I was just like, oh my God, kill me now, please. Just after all that. Finally get to the movie, and you're right, dude. The movie just absolutely came out swinging. You get like that first 10 or so minutes of where it's just people, and then all of a sudden, Godzilla just comes out, and it's like, oh my God, oh, this is so violent.
Definitely was not expecting to see a Godzilla soar so quickly into the movie. Like, it's like, well, this happened faster than I thought.
Yeah, usually there's a large amount of buildup. There's circumstances, accidents. There's all sorts of stuff, and but not this time. No, I love the fact that the first part of the movie takes place on Odo Island, which if you're a longtime Godzilla fan, you understand the significance of that location.
Mm-hmm.
But instead of an island with like villagers and fishermen on there, it's been converted into a military base for airplanes. This movie takes place right at the end of World War II, so 1945. I believe this is probably right before Hiroshima and Nagasaki, but right after, we just, we get to it. Anyway, I'm basically going in the movies by chronological order. I
Yeah.
will say that yes, I was so surprised by how much I enjoyed it, and then as I thought about it after the movie, after I came home, and even after I did my non-spoiler review, I was like, no, this movie's not an 8 out of 10. This is more like a 9 or like a 10.
I was about to say, when I saw your review, you said 8 out of 10. I was like, are you sure? Are you sure about that?
I honestly thought about it more, right after that. Like, because in my mind, I'm like, is this better than Shin Godzilla? And then I thought, wait, that's not really a fair comparison because the movies are completely different. It's a different time period in both movies, and the way Godzilla is presented even is very different. Shin Godzilla was kind of born more out of the response of the 3/11 disaster in Japan, the tsunami, the earthquake, the tsunami, and the meltdown at the Fukushima nuclear reactor. So, like the relevance of Godzilla became very important again because of all of the radioactivity and nuclear destruction that happened over the entire world. So that movie was, even for its plot basis, very important, very relevant, and just very good. But this movie kind of attacks the idea of Godzilla from a different direction. It's a very human story, and it really gets to the heart of of so many things, like family, finding love, like rebuilding your life after a catastrophe, several catastrophes in this movie's case. And yeah, that's why I had to think about it more and more, and I think this is actually a perfect 10.
I'm not entirely sure I would give it a perfect 10 in my standards, but I definitely would make it a 9. I think I just, obviously, I wish I saw more of the big guy more, and that's the only criticism I have of the entire movie. The rest of it was essentially, no, I thought this was a really good telling of the original story. In fact, I think it's a better telling of the original story because you get that aspect of the fact that Godzilla is not just a beast, but a force of nature.
Yeah.
And that he makes a giant impact. Not just, me big monster, me trumble around, but no, is an actual threat to the entirety of Japan at that point.
Yes.
And that way, he may not be on the screen as much as some other Godzilla films, but that's why it's more impactful the times that they do actually have him on the screen. That you actually get that sense of dread from everyone's perspective, which you don't get in a lot of movies. Not even in Shin Godzilla, I don't think. In Shin Godzilla, they do a good job of showing that Godzilla is a force of nature, but I think they did a better job with that in this one, in my personal opinion.
Yeah, like the effect of what Godzilla does, his rampage, it absolutely feels more impactful on the human characters and their lives, their livelihoods, and just trying to move forward after World War II and their changing world. Whereas in Shin Godzilla, it's a lot of government people. You don't really get to see that much of just regular people just trying to how they would maneuver their lives while dealing with a colossal situation such as this. It's like, we got to write a bill, we got to do this, we got to deal with politics. That was kind of a big thing in Shin Godzilla. Whereas this is just about regular people who are being put into extraordinary circumstances and how they overcome that, which is very similar to the original Godzilla, because it wasn't just a lot of government people. It was a lot of regular people, but like someone said in your chat, Yuxin said it flowed better than the original.
It did.
And I agree, yeah.
And Shin Godzilla was based more off of the funny costumes wearing shows. It does seem more humorous and more like the original Godzilla movies while still having that aspect of talking more about the government. Shin Godzilla, that is.
Yeah.
But
yeah. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Shifting back to Godzilla. One thing I think that since he's already on the screen, I think the next thing we could talk about is what did you feel about the way they designed him in this one?
I really loved both of the designs. When he first comes out on screen and he's attacking, he reminded me a lot of the Titans from the Monsterverse, where he's this big, like, angry creature, basically trying to get rid of these things that are on his territory. And then, of course, the atomic bomb at, I think, Bikini mutates him further. Spoilers! And he becomes this. And, dude, the way that they portrayed his heat ray attack, that was, like, I've imagined a Godzilla, I'm trying to say version of Godzilla basically having an attack like that, where the results of his heat ray essentially causes a nuclear explosion. It's not like bang, boom, fire, explosion. It was devastating. And the way that his spines, they protrude out and then they come back in, it's like an implosion device from an atomic bomb. I think one of the atomic bombs were designed that way, where things didn't explode outwards. Matter was crushed inwards.
Yeah, the fact that the charging process, the fact that it was like, the aspect of a gun, cocking a gun back, having all those spines pop out first, and then having them all push in right before, firing it, I thought was pretty good. And again, the whole aspect of not only there's the damage from the heat ray, but then it actually causes a nuclear explosion, which again pushes all matter outwards. And then since that matter has nowhere to go, it all automatically comes backwards. So it's like getting hit by two different windstorms at once, one right after another from two different directions. On top of that, this Godzilla movie introduced something that I'm 100% for if Toho keeps making more Godzilla movies down the line and they continue with this design. They introduced one thing that I'm 100% for, which is the fact that Godzilla actually does damage to himself whenever he uses it. So he doesn't use it all the time, which is a problem that I always had with the 90s films, is because that's when they were starting to, get the suits were getting a little more cumbersome and they were starting to introduce the special effects were starting to get better at that point. And so it felt like a lot of the 90s films was just heat ray. And so we started seeing that more often. So the fact that they actually introduced a way to not only make it so he used it less, but made the atomic break more impactful whenever he did was brilliant. I love that, and I hope that they keep doing that because it's such a cool idea to make it more powerful, but with consequences instead of I'm just going to continuously spam it.
Yeah, there's a reason why the 90s Godzilla films were basically called the Beam Wars, because the suits had become, I guess, very cumbersome and not very articulate in how much they could do, which you compare that to like the 60s or 70s Godzilla films, and they were scrapping. Like they had a lot of mobility to them, but the suits had become kind of just essentially a big walking tank. Hold on, I will be right back, but go ahead and address the chat.
All right, hello chat, how's it going? It's trying to fill a void created by the explosion. Yep, that's absolutely right. Wow, I went through this a lot quicker than I thought I was going to. Anyways. But yeah, going back to the heat ray, I guess we'll wait for Alex to get back. It was just well designed. Again, in the movie, for anyone who hasn't seen it yet, they take a long time. The first time, every single time he charges it up, it takes him forever to do it, but it shows off a bunch of detail whenever he does do it. And when he shoots it, it just looks like a straight beam before pretty much the beam just disappears. Like a whole second of nothing, and then a giant explosion. Which eventually creates, the mushroom cloud, atomic bomb, mushroom cloud. it's just, again, this is by far probably the most destructive atomic ray I've ever seen in any Godzilla film. Definitely much better than freaking Monsterverse, which Monsterverse was, the Legendary Arts Godzilla, it has okay heat ray. It looks cool, but this had a lot more impact to it. Like a lot more. Like you could definitely feel it. While the other one looks pretty, this one looks just powerful. Picture you will. You know, the best way to describe it, it's like fire versus a Kamehameha. That's kind of the difference of what they look like. It looks like a blue flamethrower versus a Kamehameha. The Kamehameha is going to look a lot cooler, and you know it's going to do a lot of damage. And again, as you can see in this picture, those sparks are specifically from his atomic ray. And that's why they only show him use it a few times in the movie. Because again, they do the fact that, hey, he can do it, and he's going to destroy a lot of stuff in the process. But if he does do it, he's hurting himself. And so in order to regenerate, he needs time. Again, he needs that time to regenerate after using such a powerful attack, lest he start doing some major damage. Which I guess we can talk about the regeneration once Alex gets back. Also, I'm sorry if I can't really see the other chat. Let me see if I can bring it up over here. Where is it? No, let me see it. There we go. All right, so how's it going, okay? And MG1. I have no clue what's being spoiled, so feel free. How would a Kamehameha fare against a lightning bolt? Well, it's Dragon Ball Z at this point, so I think the lightning bolt would probably win out. I mean, not win out. The Kamehameha would win out at this point. I guess it also depends on who's firing it, and you know what? No. I can't imagine lightning destroying a moon. And in the original Dragon Ball series, Master Roshi is able to blow up the moon with a Kamehameha. So, I'd say probably the Kamehameha. Pause and let's see here. There we go. I enjoy DBZ, but I feel it drifted far from OG Dragon Ball. OG is my favorite. I actually don't think I've ever watched OG Dragon Ball all the way through. I think I got to after the first tournament with Jackie Chun, and then I don't know. I think I got, again, like I do with a lot of anime, got distracted and then just kind of didn't ever get back around to it. But I did watch all of Dragon Ball Z, and I really liked Dragon Ball Z. It's Dragon Ball Super that's kind of a hit or miss for people, where it's just like,
I'm back.
All right,
Okay,
welcome back.
Thank you.
All right, let me bring back my stream. There we go.
All right. Did you address the chats on my side?
I did address your chat a bit on your side, yes. Talk about Dragon Ball for a bit, because I compared the Monster Arts the Monsterverse Godzilla's heat ray versus this Godzilla's heat ray, and how it was like a flamethrower versus a Kamehameha. So
yeah.
Also, hello, Colin. How's it going?
Yeah, especially when you look at like what happened in Godzilla versus Kong, where he's able to shoot his heat ray to the hollow Earth.
Yeah, but
yeah,
it just doesn't look nearly as good. And
No.
I bet if this, I wouldn't be surprised if this one could also do it. But
yeah,
going back to what I was talking about earlier, which is essentially the design overall is what I was talking about. Not necessarily that I'm talking about, but just this Godzilla's design in general. How do you feel they did?
Oh, I enjoyed it. The director, I think his name is Takashi Yamazaki. I know Yamazaki is his last name anyway. He has a history of designing Godzilla in his films. So he's not just a director, but he's also a visual effects guy as well. So he knows how to make the effects work. By the way, this movie was made for only $15 million. That's Not 150, not 50, 15.
This was a $15 million budget, and they made this.
They made this.
I mean, I guess that also might explain why they didn't use Godzilla as much.
Yeah. You know, they worked with the budget that they had. You know, Japanese films don't have the insane budgets that Marvel films have or Star Wars films have, for instance. But the director made it work. And I like this design. It kind of incorporates designs from previous eras of Godzilla. You can definitely see like the Heisei 90s design, the gigantic spikes from the early Millennium era, like Godzilla 2000, Megaguirus in there, while kind of still retaining the iconic like maple leaf look of the spines a bit. But that head is very 90s inspired, but it just looks way more ferocious. I'm a fan of the design, and I like the fact that this Godzilla is the same height as the original. So he's like 150 feet tall rather than being like 500 feet tall like legendary MonsterVerse Godzilla is. And it works. It works with the scale of the buildings where he's big, but it's not... Well, it's kind of funny saying he's big, but it's not ridiculous. Whereas, you know, he's taller than buildings. So
I think part of the reason why they did that is, first off, again, this feels more like talking about the origin story of Godzilla. So back in the day, he was a bit on the wee size compared to what he is, but also in the 40s, Japan didn't have like giant skyscrapers, especially when everything's already reduced to rubble. So if you had something like, say, Legendary Arts Godzilla size, he would dwarf everything. Yeah. Like, it just wouldn't be, I don't think, nearly as much. It wouldn't be nearly as good. So having him scaled downwards actually works. For design-wise, this has to be probably my new favorite design for Godzilla. And that's saying a lot, because I loved the early Millennium design, except for the fact that he was green for whatever reason. But I love the actual like shape of that one a lot. And then Godzilla Final Wars was really good, but this one I think takes the cake. And if we're comparing it to the Legendary Arts, oh no, it definitely hands down beats that one. I hate the Legendary Arts design. And this one, this one just, I love this one so much. Like they really did an amazing job designing him.
Yeah, the thing, my huge nitpick about the Legendary Godzilla is that he basically has no head. He's like all neck and kind of a mouth. So it's really hard to kind of like I don't know, like just the shape of the head and the face just looks a bit off. It just kind of looks like it looks more serpentine, I'd say, than more like dinosaurish.
He looks like an egg. You could just call him an egg. It's just one oval that gets smaller and smaller as it gets towards the top. He's just a giant green egg with tiny arms and big legs. And that's about it. And that's what I guess I don't like about it so much, is that they made him look so weird. I know people swear that he's like the best design. I 100% disagree. Even this design was a bit pudgier than I'm used to for my Godzilla designs. But even then, with everything else with it, I was able to forgive that. I was like, it's okay that he's a little bit of a pinhead, and it's okay that his arms are a little smaller. That's fine. Everything else looks fantastic. He looks amazing. I'm 100% okay with any of the faults. I really like this design. I think I would put it in probably my top 3, I'd say. My favorite, just from pure nostalgic reasons, is Godzilla 1984, 1985, because that's my favorite Godzilla movie. I like that design a lot. Though the eyes kind of look a little he looks dope. He's doped up. He's like,
he's kind of got like a lazy eye kind of going on there. And the eyes are going off kind of in different directions. But otherwise, I like that roar from that particular era, from like 1984 to Godzilla versus King Ghidorah, which is 91. Those are my favorite Godzilla roars. They took this one back to like the 50s, like that particular sound, but they remixed it and really amped it up so that when he roars, you feel it.
Yeah, like I love the fact that they put like new sounds to it, but still like incorporate the old one in there, so you can definitely hear it whenever he lets out his roar, which was great. The sound design, again, the sound design in this movie was fantastic. You could feel everything. Like this entire movie had a giant impact with everything. Like every single thing, every single sound, every single visual had a giant impact whenever he was on screen. Like you could feel it. And
absolutely,
it's been a while since we've had a film where that's been the case.
And look, I like the Monsterverse. I don't mind that it's gone into sort of a more, I want to say, cartoony kind of direction from where it started with Godzilla 2014, where it was very serious and it was very dark. You know, introducing the Hollow Earth and all of the more otherworldly aspects of it and those creatures. I really enjoy. It reminds me a lot of Godzilla, the series based off of the 98 movie.
Yeah.
The 98 movie was trash. The cartoon series was great. And yeah, I really enjoy it. I like the trailer as well. But you know, this works. This works for the tone of the movie. And I was going to say earlier regarding his size, that the size is relative to the danger. You feel that Godzilla is close enough to be a very personal threat, but he's just not so gigantic that you can't even see like the people, which is what's actually happened in the Monsterverse. Like you don't really see like the people like getting out of the way of these monsters so much. It's just kind of like a lot of building smashing, which I like, but you know, this feels way more personal. There's a few chats I wanted to get to. You know, so not just to kind of talk over everybody. Jeff said, MJ1 Media, Japanese skyscrapers had a unique design in the 90s compared to American skyscrapers.
Oh, they did indeed, yes.
The 80s as well, like the Yakatomi Tower from Die Hard was copied directly from a Japanese design, I believe. Denise says the Godzilla movie wasn't good. Don't enjoy it, maybe a little. Can't wait to watch the new Empire coming out next year. And I've kind of heard this this complaint a little bit over the past day or so, where there's some people like, why do people like this movie so much? Minus One.
Weird.
And sorry, the Nakatomi Plaza. You're right. I said Yakatomi. Nakatomi. Yeah. Nakatomi Plaza was actually the Fox Studio building in LA. Yeah, and it was based off of a Japanese design in Tokyo. That actual same building is in Godzilla 2000. Similar building design. But yeah, I don't understand the complaint. One of the hugest complaints we've had about Godzilla movies in the past is, I don't care about the human characters. Just give me more monsters. Whereas this has a great human story. You could actually cut out Godzilla entirely and just make a story about people trying to survive rebuilding after World War II.
I think that's part of the reason why people probably aren't going to like it as much. But again, that's what the 2014 movie did, and critics loved that movie. Meanwhile, most fans hated that movie. I certainly didn't like that movie. It was too dark. It was too dark. It was pretty much based solely on the humans and how they were reacting to the situation, and not even about Godzilla, specifically the Moto. Like, who cares about the Moto? I don't care about the Moto. Muto, sorry.
I like my Moto. Where's my Motorola? It's right here. Don't talk bad about my Motorola. I even got a Sonic design on it. He didn't mean it. It's okay. But yeah, I agree with a lot of your complaints about Godzilla 2014. The biggest complaint is the bait and switch advertising about Bryan Cranston being a huge part of the movie. I think they even put the name Heisenberg in like one of the credits for the movie. It's like, yeah, Bryan Cranston's gonna be in it. He's gonna be like the big kind of like star, like human character we're gonna base this movie around, and he's dead in like half an hour. and you follow his less interesting military son.
Generic soldier number one. Yep.
Generic soldier number one.
And yeah, no, Bryan Cranston dying is just like, oh, that was just a terrible design. Like, I could see them like hospitalizing him and then doing something with that, like how traumatized it was, but just straight up killing him like a third of the way through the film is just like, really? Why did you keep showing him through the trailers then? Like, show him once if you're gonna kill him off so quickly. But
exactly,
it was just I don't hide it from people. I'm not a big fan of the MonsterVerse. The only one I really liked was Godzilla King of the Monsters. That one I actually did enjoy. Don't enjoy the design of Godzilla. It was okay at best, but the movie overall, it was just a fun monster movie in that case with some human stuff in the background, which obviously they have to show, but it felt more back to the roots of Godzilla films. And then Godzilla vs. Kong, I was just like, eh. Again, it's the only Godzilla movie I do not own. Well, obviously now there's two, but this one I'm definitely going to buy as soon as it comes out on DVD. But it's the only... It just felt like a Kong movie with Godzilla's kind of there. He just kind of exists, and it feels like that this next one is going to be the same thing. Godzilla and Kong, New Empire, just feels like it's going to be the same thing. I'll watch it. I don't know if I'm going to love it. I probably won't. Because again, I have huge criticism about the MonsterVerse, but I'll probably watch it in theaters and then forget that it exists until people keep bringing it up, and then...
Yeah, it'll have its moment. You know, people will talk about it on social media, and, you know, we'll just have to see where it goes. But I think even just based from the tone of the new trailer, it looks very Marvel-ish.
That's what I was going to say. It looks like the Avengers, but kaiju.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah. And right now, the Marvel Cinematic Universe is not in a good place. This is not a Marvel discussion, but you know, that is a fact of an acknowledgement right there. And yeah, I don't want to see the MonsterVerse become the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I want it to be its own thing, and hopefully, you know, the filmmakers are going to take notes from this and see that, look, the Japanese, Godzilla is a part of their heritage. They know how to make a Godzilla movie work. Not all the time, but more often than not.
9 times out of 10 versus the 5 times that America, the 4 times right now America's had a chance to do it.
Yeah.
Not great. Good fun monster movie, but terrible. Terrible monster movie. Terrible Godzilla movie. Pretty good monster movie. And a meh monster movie.
Yeah.
Like I said, Toho just knows how to do Godzilla. It's almost like they made it or something.
Yeah. So they know how to do it frickin' right. We'll discuss more of the plot in just a moment, but there's some more chats that have come in. Denise says, New Empire is going to be awesome. We'll see. Godzilla versus Kong was good. I enjoyed it. Sakrona didn't.
It was okay. You know? I'll say it was okay. I don't say I hated it. If someone puts on the screen, I won't be disgusted, but it's not like something I'm gonna, you know, be a diehard fan of. I'm not. Yeah. The Mechagodzilla fight was cool. Too bad it was like 3 minutes, but it was cool.
Yeah. You know what sucked about that is Mechagodzilla got leaked like a year in advance. So I saw the design. I'm like, oh, I hope that's not the final design. But it was. Just like Godzilla's new design with the pink spikes got leaked like a week before the trailer came out. And I was like, I mean, I don't hate it, but I wouldn't have gone with pink for Godzilla. But
I think it kind of is very reminiscent of the early Millennium one.
Yeah. Although I'd say that was more of like kind of a purple than pink.
Yeah, true.
But you know, we'll see. I'm not gonna judge the movie before it comes out. But the tone of the trailer, like I said, looks very Marvel-ish or esque. All right. Got some more chats. I know you probably have some chats on your side too. I love some Godzilla movies, the old ones.
Oh yeah.
So do we. Ghidorah, the three-headed monster, is my favorite Godzilla movie from the Showa era. I love the story in that. I love Ghidorah's first introduction, the team up of Godzilla, Mothra, and Rodan. You know, that was like the first Avengers for the kaiju verse. My buddy Dexter is here. What up?
Hey, Dexter.
Jeff says hello. Shweeby is here. Shweeby. Oh, Shweeby. I don't know if you should see this. You said you and Phoenix were gonna go watch the movie. I don't want to spoil this for you. This is a spoiler discussion. But I'm happy you're here.
All right.
Hello. And then she says Godzilla was just feeling pretty.
He just wanted Godzilla pink. It's like She-Zilla.
She-Zilla.
Oh, is that the equivalent of She-Hulk? Although She-Hulk had an actually interesting story in the comics.
In the comics,
let me specify the comics.
Yes, not the show.
All right. Let me kind of trip with my chat real quick. Let's see here.
Go right ahead.
First off, probably don't take 1 billion shots per scene. Probably didn't. They probably had, again, the Japanese are a lot more precise when it comes to doing things than we are in America versus like that's just kind of how the Japanese are, which is totally a great aspect when it comes to a lot of things, including filmmaking, where it's like, nope, we're going to practice this a lot, we're going to rehearse this, and then we're going to film it. We try to take as few shots as we can. They're efficient. That's what it is. They're very efficient. Mm-hmm. Let's see. Is he smiling? Yes. He is a happy dino, though.
This is what Godzilla does best.
I'd be very leery about the new Empire. Same here. Awkward. And then my brother disliked the fight between Kong and Godzilla. Yeah, my oldest brother is a huge Kong stan. He really loves King Kong, and the fact that Godzilla kind of mopped the floor with him twice in that movie, he didn't like that.
Yep.
I was happy about it because, again, I'm more of a Godzilla fan than he is.
Same.
Than
Plus, Kong won in 1962.
That's true. The original one, he did won. Canonically,
yeah.
In the original Godzilla series, Kong won.
Mm-hmm. So 60 years later, he finally gets his comeuppance. So, bleh.
All right, and then I think that's my chat entirely caught up. So.
Okay, we got a few more chats here. Jeff says, my stepdad and I watched Godzilla vs. Kong early this year. We skipped everything prior due to just wanting the main event. So did you not see the previous MonsterVerse movies, or did you just fast forward through Godzilla vs. Kong just to get to the fights? Because I need to know. Shweeby says, well, in that case, I'll put you on mute so you can still get the watch time.
There you go. See? It's like,
Thank you.
It's like, see, people know. The people are smart.
Mm-hmm.
Good job.
Yes, indeed. Also, everyone else, please read the title of the stream. This is a spoiler discussion. So, if you want to see Godzilla Minus One and you do not want it spoiled, either put us on mute or leave now, please. Because I do not want to ruin the movie for you. Denise says Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla was great. Which one? There's like 3 or 4. There was the 70s, there was the 90s, and then there was the 2 movies in the early 2000s. Let's see. When will the Godzuki movie be released?
When anyone acknowledges that Godzuki ever existed.
Yeah.
I don't even know. Does it, like, Hanna-Barbera still own... Does it Hanna-Barbera, like, own the rights to it? And it's just no one caring?
Toho has actually put all the episodes of that Godzilla series on their YouTube channel. Oh. So I think the rights reverted back to Toho. Regarding Godzilla vs. Kong, we didn't want the labor pains. We just wanted the baby. Okay, but still, like, did you see the previous MonsterVerse movies leading up to it? Or did you just skip past those is what I'm asking? And just watch Godzilla vs. Kong? Because I don't blame you if that's all you wanted to see. Okay, no, you did not watch. Okay, and again, that's fine. And then Denise says the old one.
Yes, the alien.
Yeah. I love the alien monkeys from the 3rd planet of the black hole.
I feel like it would have been better if they were evenly matched and then had them team up to face Mecha. Like I said, I really didn't care. At the end of the day, I was just like, whatever.
Mm-hmm. All right, so now we're gonna talk about more of the plot of Godzilla Minus One, as well as some of the characters as we can remember them well enough.
If I can remember their names, because I'm terrible with Japanese names.
So am I. A lifelong Godzilla fan. I can only remember like a handful of names. Miki Segusa from the 90s. I remember because, you know, she was in the like basically the whole series from like Biollante to Destroya. Crap, I can't remember a lot of their names off the top of my head. Dr. Sarazawa, of course, from the original, maker of the Oxygen Destroyer. So yeah,
you forgot about the most important one, Steve Martin.
Ah, yes, Steve Martin. Look, I've seen Godzilla King of the Monsters, the original, the American version, and I've seen Gojira. I've seen them both. I grew up with the Steve Martin one, so I have a little nostalgia for it. Gojira is clearly the superior movie.
Actually, I don't know if I would agree with that one. I like the pacing better of the original one. I mean, of the American one.
I do too. But I think just, I don't know. I think just with the presentation of it, it's a very Japanese movie. There's no like American perspective on it. Whereas in the one with Raymond Burr, Steve Martin, there is a huge American aspect to it. You get scenes that cut back to what, Chicago or something. And like, we want to know what's being done about this monster. You know, very very American, Americanized. But I like them both. So yeah, it's a good time. Okay, so plot. Man, it is. Yeah, just thinking about. I'm still thinking about that first attack scene where it's just like, hey, what's that? Somebody turn on the light. Oh my god!
Yeah, instantly just death and destruction. Yeah,
like just no warning, just dead. It's like, dude, shoot the gun! It can kill anything. Nah, I'm too scared. Nah, I'll see you guys later.
Which brings us to the main character, Koichi, I believe is his name. I can't remember what his
I don't remember his last name. Yeah.
So SHI, and then a bunch of other letters. There's a W and a Z and a K in there. I think another A. I couldn't put it all out there together, but
if I was looking at IMDb, I could probably pronounce it, but if I type in the letter D, my computer will shut down.
Right.
So
you know what? I got you. I got this.
Yeah.
I got this. Which one is it? Is this one? It's this one. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
But yeah, Koichi is one of the main characters that we follow. He was a kamikaze pilot who was too scared to carry out his duty in the closing days of World War II. Sorry, go ahead, Soprano.
I was about to say Shiki Shima, I believe. It's Shikishima. I believe is how it's pronounced. Because the I's are usually pronounced as E's in Japan. Usually.
Yeah. Yeah, I've tried studying Japanese off and on for a long time, and it's hard. Unless you like have someone right with you who speaks Japanese, with any language, trying to learn another language is hard. That's just how it be, yo. But yeah, so there's a kamikaze pilot who was too scared to carry out his duty in the closing days of World War II, encounters Godzilla with a bunch of technicians, and through sheer luck or plot armor, manages to survive not getting stomped or chewed on. Goes back to his hometown in Tokyo, and Tokyo is just effed up from all of the bombing runs.
Two atom bombs will do that to place.
Well, Tokyo was never hit with an atomic bomb, but it was firebombed. By American planes in the closing days of World War II. So Tokyo is rubble. Yeah. And it's so weird. Like, he had, like, some neighbors, like, looking at him like, why didn't you kill yourself in glorious, honor or whatever. But, he wanted to live, which is a huge theme that is revisited a lot through this movie of just trying to live on, to survive, to rebuild. And like the horrors of what he experienced from the Godzilla attack, as well as the war itself, weighs heavily on him, as it does with everyone else who's just trying to rebuild, which leads him to the other character that he runs into. What was the girl's name? You got IMDb, right? Noriko.
Yeah, Noriko.
Yeah, Noriko. It just, and this is where I kind of felt like the story got a little like anime tropes, where he just runs into a character and then that character ends up like staying with him, and that she has a baby with her. And you're like, oh, this is like a runaway mom. Maybe she was trying to steal to feed her baby or something, and turns out the baby's not even hers. So it's like, hey, congratulations, you've won a wife and a child. What luck! I can't even do that.
But
God,
of course you have to have the neighbor that really hates him because, well, it's weird. That's one thing I guess I don't understand how it happens, because his neighbor really despises him because she knew that he was a kamikaze pilot, and yet he came back alive. So not, murdering yourself for your country. And so the first few times that they show her, she like absolutely despises it because, her children are dead, and, putting the blame on someone because, oh, if you, people like you had actually done your service, we wouldn't be in such a predicament that we are now. And then as the story goes on, even though you don't see her spend a lot of time with the guy, she spends more time with the daughter that's growing up. Actually, no, I guess that makes more sense now, because I guess they start developing a connection through the daughter.
Akiko, I believe is the little girl's name. And it's like she becomes their babysitter because he has to work, and then Noriko also goes and gets a job because it's so funny. Like, they have this party, I guess, when the baby Akiko is like 2 years old at this point, and Koichi's friends are like, hey dude, like, you've got a beautiful wife and a daughter, like, dude, you lucked out, you got a family, man. And he's like,
not mine. Not mine.
I don't want this. No. And I'm like, dude, what is your deal? And of course, his deal is that he's still suffering a lot of PTSD from the war and from the Godzilla attack. Which I think that leads into the second appearance of Godzilla out in the ocean when the destroyer ship is wrecked, and they're kind of looking at the damage of it. And God, like that they're on the boat in the first place because they're trying to demine the Bay of Japan.
For people who don't know, in World War II, there was a bunch of mines placed in the Sea of Japan, the Pacific Ocean, specifically targeted. They had magnetic mines attached to them. So essentially, whenever a boat would go over the top of them, they would pull up, make contact with the boat, and then detonate. And so the solution to that was Japan would send out boats made of wood that would essentially hook them so that pull them up and then shoot them. Yeah, and that's essentially what Koichi's job is essentially the gunner man on that.
And that was a fun sequence. It's like, well, how are you going to get rid of all of these mines? It's like, we got a wooden boat, brother, with like a 50 caliber gun or something. And
13 millimeter.
13 millimeter. Forgive me. I'm American. I don't know about millimeters.
There's a lot of guns that use millimeters for their chambers. What are you talking about?
I know. Look, I'm not a gun. I shoot them, but I don't know their designations. I'm only a first-person shooter. Occasionally. Just real quick in the chat. The only Godzilla I ever saw outside of the animated series in Godzilla vs. Kong is the 90s Godzilla film.
I'm assuming he means, I think he means TriStar, probably.
Yeah, Godzilla 98 with Jean Reno and Matthew Broderick and all of them. Those are the only actors. Oh, and Hank Azaria. It's like they got a lot of Simpsons actors in that for some reason. It was him and the guy who played Kent Brockman. I don't know why they cast it that way, but they did. And that's not a Godzilla movie. It is a monster movie that has the name Godzilla, but it's not Godzilla. Like there's no characteristics on that creature that that is even close to Godzilla, which is why Toho renamed it Zilla. They demoted him from God status. But anyway, so yeah, we get to the second encounter with Godzilla on the sea, and this scene is like straight out of Jaws. And it is, I'd say it's even scarier because they managed to detonate a mine in Godzilla's mouth. It's like, okay, you know, nothing on the outside can penetrate his skin, but you know, you get into like the sensitive parts of the mouth and whatnot. We got him! Boom! I was like, oh wow, someone actually tried that in a Godzilla movie. I kind of wanted to see what that's like, and it's gross. And then Godzilla regrows everything that got blown off of his face, which is why he looks like this in this scene right here.
Actually, no, I think that's actually the scene that you're looking at. That's when he fired his atomic, after he fired his atomic ray. But this actually brings up a point that I actually am now recalling, is his face kind of has embers on it whenever he does it, but specifically, most of those embers are focused right around where all that new tissue is. Like after, because again, having a mine blow up in your face, instead of anything explode in your face, it's gonna take a giant chunk. And so there's like a giant chunk from the front of, almost to the entire front of his mouth, all the way back to almost where his jaw would end, just gone. And then all regrows, and then for the rest of the movie, there's just like a little slight color distortion there. But whenever he fires his atomic ray, that particular part, as you can see on the picture right now, actually sparks. And I thought that, I don't remember, I might be remembering this wrong, but I think it's only that side that actually sparks. Which I think is actually really cool attention to detail. The other side might have sparked too, but I'm only remembering the shots where it looked like that. So
I will say this. This is one of the movies I would say where Godzilla is actually scary. He was scary in the introduction scene on the island, and he is very scary throughout. The director makes exquisite use of camera angles to show Godzilla's size in relation to the people. Like I said earlier, the size is relative to the danger. You can feel the danger of Godzilla, like approaching these people, just wrecking buildings. I still think the scene where he, you know, bends down to pick up the train, that shocked me, like even when I saw it in the trailer, and it's no less shocking when you see it in the movie, even though you know it's coming if you've seen the trailer. So Krona, what parts of the movie did Godzilla feel scary to you?
Well, again, anytime he was on the screen, he actually felt terrifying. Especially when you got the aspects, again, the atomic ray, when he uses that, and even before, slightly before then, when you actually see him just trudging through the streets. Like there's 3 segments of that entire encounter where it seemed terrifying. There's the part where he's just kind of, they have those news reporters and they're actually showing him off, and they're like right there, and you just see him just demolishing buildings with no real intention except for mindless destruction. And seeing him absolutely obliterate everything. Then immediately afterwards, they show a scene where he's actually walking through the streets, and you get a great size comparison to the people that are currently getting trampled on, which this is the first Godzilla movie that I could think of right off the top of my head where you can actually see people get trampled on, which really gave a huge aspect of, again, both size and just sheer force. And then, again, that atomic breath, where it absolutely just destroys everything, makes a giant cone just surrounding the heat ray. And then when it finally makes contact with the ground, creating such a devastating explosion, and essentially just another atom bomb straight in the heart of Tokyo.
Yeah.
It's just, every single aspect of that entire scene was just terrifying. And even just the scene where they first introduce him at his full size, when he's chasing that little boat and he's like just the head popping out.
Yeah.
Even that alone was just scary.
It was. Yeah, I agree with everything you said. And like kind of touching on the scene where he's in Ginza, I think is how it's pronounced. That's where surprisingly enough, we lose Noriko, which I didn't think like that was going to happen in the plot. Usually like the loved ones of the main characters don't really get affected that much. It's usually like the main characters themselves, but this time they really went for broke here with the story, and it's like everyone is in danger. It almost felt like kind of an episode of Game of Thrones here. It's like anyone could die in this situation, and we lose Noriko, and that is devastating to Koichi because he finally comes to terms with the fact that I actually have a family now. Maybe I can move on. And he even says that in the plot, like where he's honoring his parents in the home. It's like, you know, is my war over? Can I move on? Can I have a family and actually move on with my life? And Godzilla basically takes that from him, as he does with, other people that we see in the scenes of people being, like trampled, smashed, thrown into the air, buildings collapsing on them. You really understand and feel the danger because losing Noriko in the plot, it's like you personally lose somebody. That's how effective that scene, and it is devastating because it's the result of Godzilla's heat ray, because it causes like that initial, it feels like sort of an implosion and then an explosion outward where people are blown away from the force of the shockwave from the heat ray, the heat ray explosion. And that starts to bring us more into the end game of the plot, where they figure out a way to stop Godzilla because they've seen that bombs and bullets don't really do it. So they use the power of science and sea forces to stop him. Why don't you describe this part?
So we get into the third act. Again, a bunch of grievances, which, obviously would happen if you pretty sure that someone just essentially got obliterated, crushed by rubble and wind and a giant monster. This brings us to the act where actually the citizens of Tokyo have to take action because the government's not going to do anything. They don't want to bring in the U.S. government. The U.S. government doesn't want to get involved because they might break connections with the Soviet Union if they do. So that makes it a bit challenging. So essentially it comes up to pretty much a group of ex-naval military getting together, which of course now just means a bunch of civilians, but essentially getting them all together to try and stop them using a bunch of decommissioned warships, and essentially using this science of using bubbles. I can't remember what the exact terminology is, but the exact thing that they use, but essentially bubbles that force something to go downwards, and their entire idea is we're going to push this thing about,
I think it was like 1,800 meters into a trench. Which, if you go, for people who don't know science about the sea, there's a lot of pressure that gets, the further down in the ocean you go, the more and more pressure that's applied to you. And if you suddenly change that, it's like taking essentially your hands on a empty soda can and then crushing it. That's essentially what they're doing. And their goal is, if that doesn't work, we also got this flotation device that's going to pop him back up so that we can essentially do it again, but as he's going upward. Because even if there's not a lot of pressures being done to him,
that's still moving very quickly, and having that sudden compression change, any sudden changes to pressure, whether you're squeezing or unsqueezing, is going to do damage to something. So essentially, we're going to bring him down, we're going to bring him back up, try to crush him, which brings us to Koichi, who essentially goes, look, that might not be enough, and I know he can die if he goes inside, and I've got pretty much nothing left to lose, and I want to finish my fight, and I'm not going to be a coward anymore. Give me a plane. And then without secretly wants to kamikaze, essentially, driving bombs straight through down Godzilla's gullet. And so he brings back this guy that we actually didn't bring up before, but this mechanic, this head mechanic, this technician who was like the only technician, the only person who survived the first Godzilla attack on that on Oto Island, and brings, essentially goes, look, I need your help. You're the only person who can do this. Of course, the guy resists a lot at first, but then it's like, look, you're gonna kamikaze, you're gonna finish your fight. Sure, I will do that. Then I'll fix up this plane that we found and help you essentially
kill Godzilla,
and yourself in the process. But then the more they're working on it, the more he starts realizing, look, life is worth holding on to. And we gotta focus on that. And it turns out the plane's got an ejector seat, which will come in handy later.
Yeah.
But, so, they do all these different plans. They try to bring these ships, essentially using two of the 4 ships as a decoy so they can get Godzilla to launch his atomic ray. Because
he can't spam it.
Exactly, because he can't spam it.
Time,
Again, hurting himself in the process if he keeps doing it. So he blows up a couple of them, and then the other ships have essentially these buoys attached to the back of them, which have those bubbles that shoot downwards.
Yeah, I think they used Freon, is what they said.
Freon, that's what I was trying to think of. Thank you. And so they essentially circle around while Koichi leads Godzilla back into the water, because Godzilla happens to get on land. And so uses the guns on his plane, the only remaining guns, because they were pretty much removed every other single gun on it in order to place 2 bombs in it. And so, again, the ships circle around, make contact with each other, which I thought was a pretty cool thing that they didn't even have to do in the movie, but they did, which I appreciate. Circle around and then drop Godzilla. And of course, that doesn't work. And so they bring him back up, but there's this, once he gets to about 800 meters, starts resisting, cutting the bubbles, essentially, so they have to pull him back up, but the ships don't have enough
force,
torque, essentially. Torque in order to do it. Torque's not the right term, but we're going to use torque because... Trucks, exactly. And so pretty much every single tugboat every single ship that could pull it essentially gets on either side of the ships, and they all just start pulling up Godzilla, who looks worse for wear, like eyes glassed over. Everything looks like it could fall apart at any point.
Yeah. So he experienced basically like violent compression followed by like explosive decompression, like going down and then coming back up suddenly. And that's why he looks really messed up.
And yet still has enough energy to try to fire off another atomic ray, which brings back to Koichi, who just dives that plane headfirst, not before arming the bombs, and then right before getting to it, popping, the ejection and, surviving. Which initially, we see Godzilla's body just, first off, the top of his head just explodes, which was kind of gruesome. They do kind of a good job of censoring it while still kind of showing what it looked like.
Yes.
As his body just falls into the water as it literally crumples.
Yeah. It's like Thanos, kind of, in that way.
And so they get back to the land, and it turns out that Noriko is actually still alive, which brings to this heartwarming scene of the fact that, she asked him if his war is finally over and if he can stop struggling, which would be a perfect way to end the movie. Of course, they have to add one last final bit where they show the heart slump going down into the ocean, and then he starts regenerating.
Yeah, and they play the Godzilla theme, the blah, dun dun dun. I laughed actually in the theater when I saw that. I was like, you can't kill Godzilla. Godzilla never gets killed, except in the first one.
Yeah.
And destroy it. But anyway,
which is funny
yeah.
because it's very reminiscent of Godzilla, the 2001 Godzilla movie, Godzilla Mothra King Ghidorah.
Giant monster all attack. Yeah.
Where they did the exact same thing, where he explodes, his body literally just explodes, and then right at the very end they show his heart still, beating. Well, they don't show it regenerating, which is I thought was a cool aspect that they did in this movie.
Yeah, so it's very, very left open to the possibility of a sequel, which I wouldn't mind, especially if they're able to keep up like this intensity and the tone for possibly doing that. One other thing about with reuniting with Noriko is you kind of see something on her neck, but you don't really know what it is.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. So it's like, what is happening here? Is she like mutating or something? We don't know. The movie does not answer that question. But it did linger on her neck for like just a few seconds, just for you to be able to look like, what is that? And yeah, and then we get the scene of Godzilla being like, I'm still alive. But yeah, there's a few chats in your chat that I think we should probably address here.
Yeah. Anybody know what the deep sea creature was floating in the water? They describe it as a fish, but I can't remember exactly what it was. Tokyo destroyed by air raid. Yep, we got that one. I thought Hiroshima. Oh wait, that was a thermal bomb. No, Hiroshima was a atom bomb.
Yeah, it was.
Unless there was another bomb which I don't know about. Which, forgive me, I'm not the biggest historian, so I don't know everything about what happened in World War II. And then yeah, Godzilla, the 1998 Godzilla movie, good monster movie, not a great Godzilla movie. Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah, agree with that. Right. Okay, so we've got a few chats here on my side. Jeff says, bit of a topic change, but my stepdad and I rewatched Oceans 11, 12, and 13. This Friday, we're going to watch the original Oceans 11 from 1960 with Frank Sinatra as the lead.
Oh, cool. Right.
I've never seen that one. Out of the modern ones, I liked Oceans 11 and 13. I didn't much care for 12.
I've only seen 11, actually.
Well, I would say see the other ones, see what you think of 12 and 13. But I think 12 is kind of like a low point for the trilogy, but they're still worth seeing. Jeff says, at least the animated series that continued the movie felt more like Godzilla. Yes. And funny enough, when, speak of the devil, Sean, when Sean and I talked with the creators of the Common America comic during our Comics and Culture podcast, those guys who made the comic actually know the people who animated Godzilla, the animated series from the 90s, who also worked on Men in Black, the animated series as well. And hopefully we can talk with them someday and ask them, like, what their experience was making Godzilla, the animated series.
That'd be pretty cool.
It would, yeah. So welcome, Sean. And Jeff says, hi, Sean. So yeah, man, like what an absolute ride that was, just experiencing that. Did you get to go with people and see Godzilla Minus One?
I took my brother, who's actually in chat, Yuxin. I took my brother to go with me because, again, I'm not a big fan of going to the movie theaters by myself, and so I know he enjoys Godzilla enough that he would probably get a kick out of it. And sure enough, he enjoyed it. We actually had a pretty decent conversation afterwards on the ride home about the movie, which I thought was pretty cool. And
yeah,
I know you said that you went by yourself.
I had to. My brothers had plans. My mom is disabled, so it was either go by myself or wait for the movie to come out on streaming and possibly get spoilers. So I was just like, I'll just go by myself. But I know going to the movies is a very social thing to do. But I still had a good time with it. There were other people who were Godzilla fans in there. I got compliments on my shirt while being in there, and of course, you know, I came back and I did my non-spoiler video, at which, you know, after I said I give the movie an 8 out of 10. I know we talked about this earlier. You know, talking about it again, I guess I lean maybe a little bit more towards a 9, but I don't know. I in my heart, I want to give it a perfect 10, but objectively speaking, I think it's more of a 9.
Yeah, that's the same viewpoint as me. It's like, I want to give it an 11 out of 10. What are you talking about? But no, objectively, I think we're gonna give it a 9. It was a really powerful movie when it came to it. It was a great kind of origin story of Godzilla. It was a great way that we kind of got that slice of life aspect when it came to the main characters, which actually complemented the scenes with Godzilla more, because you actually got kind of this is how we're going to try to live our lives. This is how you try to live through PTSD. This is how you try to live through a post-war Tokyo. And then when things start looking normal, even though you're suffering through PTSD, then starting to throw back in the fact that, oh, wait, no, we've got another terrible situation. It's not a war, it's a monster in this case, but it's still a destruction of Tokyo level or destruction of Japan level threat.
Yes.
Again, that slice of life aspect made the Godzilla scenes so much more powerful, in my opinion. That's why I didn't mind nearly as much the fact that there was so much human scenes, because it was well written, it was well acted, it was just well told, and it just made things much more heart-wrenching when bad things started happening to people.
Yeah.
And therefore, I think that's what helped propel the movie forward and helped, you know, again, if you're just going, it's not a movie you're going to go watch if you just want to see a monster tear through things, because there's not that much Godzilla in it. But if you're there knowing that, hey, if you're kind of going in there knowing, hey, look, this isn't just your normal, you know, monster beating the crap out of other monsters or destroying things aimlessly, it's actually got a decent story. If you know that ahead of time, then, or if you at least know enough about the original Godzilla movies, then you'll probably go in having a really good time. And I think that's what ended up happening with, you know, like Ukes and myself or U-Trap, and that's why we enjoyed it so much. Again, if you're just going for aimless monster and destruction, you're probably not going to get that. But if you really, really want to see a very compelling story, a very well-told story, and with some awesome, you know, monster action in there and a bunch of suspense and just very powerful moments, please do yourself a favor. Even though we've already talked about pretty much the entire movie, it's still going to worth watch, because everything, the music, the story, the visuals, all of it is amazing.
Yeah, it absolutely is. My family has not seen it yet. They're going to try to go see it on Saturday, and you better believe I'm going with them, because I want to see this again. And usually, and I'll say this, like, even with like the MonsterVerse movies, it's like I've seen them once and I'm like, you know, I think I've got out of it what I wanted. I don't mind not seeing this again for like a few years. This I want to see again, because the human scenes were that compelling.
If I have,
go ahead.
Sorry. No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I know we said this earlier. I think I said it earlier. If you cut out Godzilla entirely from this is still a great drama about people trying to rebuild their lives after World War II. That in itself is very compelling. It just happens to have great monster action thrown in as well, you know, for us who are fans of Godzilla and fans of kaiju movies. The Godzilla scenes that are there, even though it's not much, is effective enough in telling the story. There could have been more, but I think this is one of those cases where less of Godzilla actually works out, which is kind of like my opposite feelings of Godzilla 2014, where it's like, I think you needed a little bit more Godzilla there in that movie, you know, to kind of really help sell it. But here, I feel like we get just enough where it's like, it's not too much, it's not too little, it's there to effectively tell what's there. And that combined with a very compelling human story just makes it objectively a great cinematic experience. So, a great time all around. if you watched this discussion, go see it anyway, because seeing it is different than just hearing about it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely a good, amazing experience, especially in theaters where you get, the surround sound. You can actually kind of feel everything. Like, everything just felt amazing. Like, I don't think I'm going to enjoy it nearly as much when it comes out on DVD. I'm still going to enjoy it. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, yeah.
I'm definitely going to enjoy watching it, but it's definitely worth going to see in the theaters.
I hope this is one of those things where it's like, right now it's only made like $11 million in the United States. I hope this is one of those experiences where it's like good word of mouth helps to propel the movie more, and it earns more on its second weekend.
I hope so too.
Yeah, this is absolutely a movie that deserves more support. I understand that watching subtitles, a subtitled movie, is not everybody's thing. Some people just do not want to read when they go to a movie experience, and I completely understand that. I just say that if you can put that aside, you will have a great time with this. And oh my god, I don't know if the dub, which there might be one, I don't know if it's gonna do the movie justice. Because this is a very Japanese movie. It's for a Japanese audience, but it can be appreciated internationally. I just don't know if like an English dub is going to have like the same power in the performances from the people as the natural Japanese speakers. So we'll see what happens.
I'm expecting another Funimation dub, not gonna lie.
Oh god, I hope not. God, I hope not. I would love it to have more of like a Cowboy Bebop level style dub, where like the dub is just as good, if not better, than the original Japanese. But I don't think that's gonna happen.
I didn't mind the Funimation dubbing for Shin Godzilla, but I do personally prefer the Japanese, which is unusual because usually I do prefer listening to my movies in English. But we'll see.
We'll see. So I guess that pretty much covers everything about it. There's no word if the movie's going to drop on streaming services anytime soon, or even what like the home video release is going to be like. But when it happens, I will be there to watch it again.
Me too.
Yeah. So that's it. So Sakrona, are you going to be streaming again this week?
I'm not entirely. Yeah, well, yes, I will be streaming later this week, but I'm not sure when. Probably not until Friday, because I've got some video stuff I gotta get to work on, and even then, maybe not even Friday. It might not be live until Saturday, but we'll see. We shall see. What about you?
I think I'm gonna be streaming on Thursday with my crew playing Starship Troopers Extermination. We like killing bugs, so. That works out, and we might stream on Saturday, but I don't know what yet. So things are still up in the air, and there's some videos I need to get to work on as well. But other than that, Sakrona, it has been a pleasure as talking about this movie from one Godzilla fan to another with you.
Oh yeah, no, it's been fantastic. It makes me wish there was more movies coming out that we could actually do this with, but this wasn't a blast. And again, if you guys haven't done so already, I already put Trap's link in the description below. Please do me a favor, go check him out. I don't think I have any mods because I don't know where Suki is, and Kat doesn't want to be. Kat is actually streaming at the time of this. I don't know if she's still alive, but I know she wants to watch the movie, so I warned her not to come here if she didn't want to get spoiled.
Yes.
So actually, you know what? I'll do it. I'll do it real quick. I'll get your link. I got you.
Oh, thanks. And I will get your link as well. I have to be very careful about going about this because of my silly keyboard. Can I type? Whatever. I'll just say.
Well, first off, my name doesn't have any D's in it.
I'm going to copy and paste. Go follow Sakrona. There we go. Whew. God, I never thought I'd be so nervous typing out a sentence on a computer.
All right, and people want to, you guys can click the link that I just put in the chat. That'll lead you straight to Trap's channel page. Make sure to subscribe. He's an awesome individual. I like him at least. Therefore, you guys should like him too.
There you go. And Sacrona's a nice guy. I like his hat. I want it for myself.
Yeah, no, not happening. This one is mine.
I don't know. It looks pretty nice. Be a shame if something happened to it.
By the power of my grandfather, I will beat you with this hat.
Oh, man. You can't beat me. That's against... I'm not even going into that. But you guys have been a great audience. Thank you for interacting with us. I hope you guys will go see the movie, even if you haven't seen it already. Thank you for all the likes. Make sure to like Sacrona's stream as well. And may the thick be with you all. Sacrona, you want to do your sign out?
And thank you everyone who stopped by. Please make sure to like and subscribe. And if you've done this already, please go and make sure to like Trap Stream in the process. But I will see you all soon. Thank you everyone so much for watching us two geeks geeking out. We love all your faces. Stay safe, stay awesome, and as always, until next time, rock on!
Yeah, party on, dude.